Exactly. Exactly. I mean, and that's a challenge, obviously, because we are selfish people, and we have our rights and we have our desires, and we want to live a good life. And when somebody gets in the way of that, then we respond and as humans. And he's convicting us here in a setting that we don't fully realize, because nobody, as I said at the beginning, nobody here is a bondservant. Nobody's a servant. Even, I mean, in a professional sense, certainly nobody's a slave. So, in that sense, in this physical world that we live in, and so we can read this and say, yeah, you slaves, you should do this, but then we got to, and I'm going to make time to, and we got 15 minutes, so we make time to come pull this back a little bit and bring it down home and say, what are some applications of this for us who are not these kinds of slaves? Wally. It works. Exactly. I mean, that's part of the application of this, I think, because the closest we're going to get to this, some of the things he's talking about here, would be our employment or our work for others, somebody above us, and we're working for them. That's a very typical application of it. John, and then Christy. Can you imagine how hard that would be if you're not getting a paycheck for doing it and you're under pressure to do that? You might be whipped if you don't. I mean, we can't minimize how difficult this is and how challenging it is, because, as I kind of alluded to earlier, sometimes we don't do so well at this, and we're not under that kind of threat. So when he says work hardly for the Lord and not for men, work hardly for the Lord and whatever you do, that he's telling slaves to do that. And that would go not just the contracted slaves, but people who are slaves in the more extreme sense, as we understand it, people who are under a master involuntarily. Christy, what do you think? Right, and you've heard me say it, and we all know it, that we're really here for our whole life to strive to be like Christ. And Christ demonstrated this, of course, in the extreme sense in a way we never, ever can. And that is to go to the cross as a slave for us and with no guilt whatsoever. So that's the ideal, of course. Above all of this, we don't have any human ideals, but of all of this. Aaron, you had a thought. And then, right. Right. Yeah, I know when I got unjustly, maybe the two times in my young life, when I got a whipping, I could say, well, I got by with a lot of stuff, so, and, no, but, he didn't, he completely said it. Garrett? Yeah, no, right. We should not. Social injustice.